Hello, hello, welcome. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone is having a fantastic Monday. That should be loud enough. Yes, what is up, everyone? So good to see you. Thanks for swinging by. And I've got something exciting. Last stream, we did Bryan Chapell's Christ-Centered Sermon Preparation, and we did it for our text, John chapter 7. And I believe we were verses like 26 through 31, something like that. Forget exactly the verses. What I want to do today is I want to utilize Bryan Chapell's Christ-Centered Sermon Preparation workflow, but I skipped ahead to where we ended last time. Now, it's a new pericope, so it's not as though the information is all the same, but last time I spent all of the time in steps 1 through 4.1. Today we pick up in 4.2 and beyond. You see? So, even though we're in a different text, you can see the same workflow, and we'll work through this piece. And if this goes well, maybe I can do the same even the following week. We'll see. I might put myself in the corner where I've got to do the majority of my sermon prep even before I start the stream. But I don't know. This worked for me today. So, anyways, I had talked to somebody last time, or they had left a comment or something about, hey, if you do this, can you review ahead of time with us what you did? Perfect. Let's do that. So we are in verses 32 through 36. It says this: the Pharisees heard the crowd muttering these things about him, and the chief priests and Pharisees sent officers to arrest him. Jesus then said, I will be with you a little longer, and then I am going to him who sent me. You will seek me, and you will not find me. Where I am, you cannot come. The Jews said to one another, where does this man intend to go that we will not find him? Does he intend to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? What does he mean by saying, you will seek me and you will not find me? So very interesting passage. Now, I did a meditation, and these are like worshipful prayers. I did this for each of the verses.
Your life is not in
Let's
your
go.
hands. Your life is in the hands
Thank you, Madden.
of God.
Come on.
Madden just
Love to
resubbed
see
for
it.
17 months.
Much love
Thought
to you.
this
Thank
was
you.
last week.
Yes. We are using the same workflow, Madden, but we skipped forward some stages. Yep. No, you're good, Madden. It's perfect. I don't think there's ever a good timing. And that's the beauty of notifications. Yes. So I did a prayer for each verse. Okay. And again, these are different verses than the previous week. John 7:32, Father, help me to be forthright and honest, because these are muttering and trying to arrest him. Verse 33, Father, help me to dwell with you and your Son. He says, I will be with you a little longer, then I am going to him who sent me. Verse 34, Father, make me fit to enter your presence. You will seek me and you will not find me. Where I am, you cannot come. Verse 35, Father, help me to see clearly, spiritually, and with understanding. The Jews said to one another, where does this man intend to go that we will not find him? Does he intend to go to the dispersion? And then finally, verse 36, Father, help me to know the truth. What does he mean by saying, you will seek me and you will not find me? Where I am, you cannot come. So those are the meditations I put together for each verse. Now, the fallen condition focus. Okay, if you're looking at it, you can see there's kind of two main key themes here, and I guess I'll talk about that here. What does the text say? The priests, Pharisees, and officers attempt to arrest him, and he states some cryptic things regarding where he is going and if others will be able to find him. The Jews spend a couple of verses trying to make sense of this statement. So they keep saying, what does he mean by this, etc. That's essentially what's going on. What spiritual concerns does the text address in its context? The earthly and spiritual split between Jesus and the Jews. Seems to me that they have a very earthly perspective on things. Is he going to go to the dispersion? What does he mean by this, etc.? And I think Jesus has a very spiritual emphasis. And then, what spiritual concerns do listeners share in common with those to or about whom the text was written? Although we have a bit more light, we also fail to understand who Jesus is, where he is going, and how we can participate with him and the Father. So I think we have almost a similar question as the Pharisees, even though we're well into the New Testament now and we have more light than them. So Finally, what is the sermon's fallen condition focus? We don't understand who Jesus is, what God's plan is, and how to dwell with him and the Father. Being a little more specific there, but it's still this general theme that we don't get it, right? We don't get it, we don't see it, we don't understand it. So that's kind of the whole thing there, all right? So that's the FCF. Now the historical context, and this is in our equivalent workflow last time. This is where we had finished, right? And so I just grabbed some ideas, right? There was actually in the historical commentaries quite a bit regarding these few verses. First, there was a lot of detailed discussion of the chief priests, the Pharisees, the temple guards, the priestly aristocracy, all of this stuff. And I captured that. You can see Pharisees heard the crowds muttering, chief priests, Pharisees, officers. You can see all these groups. And so most of the historical background commentaries referenced each of these groups and kind of try to talk about them a little bit and say, hey, here's what they're doing, here's who they are, that type of stuff. Then, technically, there's only one high priest at the time, but those who had moved on from the role might have retained their titles, in addition to those prominent families continuing to possess some clout and authority. All right? Not only that, there's irony in the text. In verse 35, this was what one of the commentaries said, considering what ends up happening in the book of Acts in the embrace of the Gentiles. They make this comment, is he going to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? And it's kind of like this rhetorical question. In reality, in Acts, that's exactly what happens. So there's this whole kind of bringing in of the Gentiles. And several commentaries said that them using Greeks here is just equivalent to Gentile. Might as well be the same word. And then finally, two more. Temple guards functioned as a sort of independent temple police force. So the Romans kind of gave the Jews the authority to set up those temple guards in that way. And then finally, those dispersed often made up significant populations in the outlying cities. The Greek seemed to simply be a synonymous term for Gentile. So there you go. That's all. That's my FCF. That's my historical background. Those are my meditation prayers, etc. So now, here's where today is unique. Okay. What is up, Perk? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for swinging by. Here's where today is unique. I did not get to the logical doctrinal context of verses, again, 27 through 31 or whatever I ended up preaching. But we are starting there in our stream today. So we are going to focus in our attention on logical doctrinal context, flesh it out, get to the literary context, then do the research. And we'll see how far we go. But that's essentially our idea. Also, I can't go much past an hour because I have to head over to our church. We're doing an event tonight. So just got to let you guys know that. I'm going to have to buzz out at the end and head over to the church. But happy to squeeze this in. Alrighty. So what does it say? Reading broadly enough to see the development of the biblical writer's argument or concerns in this and other relevant scripture passages will reveal the logical doctrinal context of the passage through the truths God is expressing by direct statements or interactive relationships. Okay, so essentially saying, understand the argument, their breakdown. Seems here they want you to utilize outlines and compare pericope sections. Okay, well, I've got plenty of outlines. To me, this seems to be like a spatial way of doing what the Compare Bible Outlines tool does. But let's utilize it for a little bit, and then if we're not liking it, we can move on. So this one is for 1 John, but it is comparing the Gospel of John, but it's very broad. So not helpful. What's up, Perk? Hope the event goes well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We shall see. We shall see. Yeah, again, this is very broad. Okay, this is more in depth. And this is, I guess, what he means on just to understand the broader framework, right? He's going through these outlines. And is this Lenski? No. Adolf Spate. Anyway, here you can see they do 33 to 36. So pretty close. 3 discourses during the Feast of Tabernacles. And then his approaching departure is the subcategory here. So if you're trying to kind of like frame up what categories are involved here, that's helpful. One thing I find in the workflow is the little My Observations sections. I think I like a notes document better. What do you guys think? I think it's cool to have these workflows, but I almost prefer to throw everything in my notes document. Although that has a similar problem because I end up with too much material in too, small a document. Whereas this stuff is spread out. But there we go. I mean, that's the Lutheran commentary. Let's keep going. And again, if I were to do this exact same exercise, independent of this workflow, I would bring up the compare pericopes section inside the passage analysis guide. And I would also bring up the Bible outline browser tool. So those are the two things I would use. Cal Magic, I use Microsoft Word for most of my notes. Works for my use. Yeah, that's good. But that's still like all kind of one section, right? Which is, I guess, similar to what I'm getting at. Now, one thing I'm noticing in most of these resources is they're taking too large a pericopes to be helpful for us. It was only the Lutheran commentary thus far that has been very helpful because of how small their pericope is. He will return to the Father. Yeah, we're not getting too much here. Let's do a few more. The nice thing is these are super quick and easy to consult. Interesting. What's up, Angie? Good to see you. Welcome. Happy Monday. How are you? I hope you are doing well. Let's keep going, guys. Right here. Jesus teaches at the Feast of Tabernacles. Yeah, we're just not getting that clear breakdown. And so maybe we will. And maybe this is where you supplement with your own understanding of the software and your own understanding of the resources that you learn over time. But you can see we've consulted about 10 outlines here, and they've been of minimal help. So many tabs. Indeed, Perk. So many. So that was the Bible Reader's Companion. Let's try Bible Study Made Easy. I will say it's nice that they open all these books just to their outlines. I don't know if I would have utilized this tool otherwise. So that's pretty handy. Now, interesting here, Jesus meets opposition at the Feast of Tabernacles. I didn't realize the Feast of Tabernacles here went through chapter 9, verse 41. Is that really the case? That's pretty incredible if so. That was Bible Study Made Easy. This outline is way too large. Just focus on the Book of Signs. Excuse me. This one's too large. Looks like they're trying to make a giant chiasm out of a large chunk of the Gospel of John. But it's not what I'm looking for. Let's try this one. Yeah, so you can see I've done over a dozen of these now, and I'm just not getting the help I needed. Now, it's not horrible, and I expect if you were studying a larger pericope, it'd be very handy to be able to jump to all the outlines like this. But this is where I find the visualization of the Bible Outline Browser to just be better, So let's try that real quick. Again, shout out to whoever told me to utilize the Bible Outline Browser because I think it's awesome. So this is the Compare Pericopes section. And this ending at 36 right here. So you can see I'm matching the ESV. I've already preached through 31. But you can see several other translations stop at verse 36 too, before the promise of living water through the Spirit. So I'm in decent company. Really splitting it here, which is a decision that was made last week, is the questionable decision. But We already made that decision. So I can't be held accountable for questionable decisions I've made in the past. Now, can I? Can I? Certainly not. Is it? I thought it was the Bible outline browser. Come on. This says Bible browser. Could it be that? No, it's this. It's this. But what are we aiming to get here? Like, why do they want us to do this? Like, when I'm trying to select my pericope for preaching, I understand that. But when I've already selected it and I've typed my verses into the workflow, what am I supposed to get out of this exercise then? Again, we're doing 32 to 36. 32 to 36. So, right here. Here's 33 to 36. So that's the... So I think what I've literally been clicking on is all of these. I think it just opens them straight to the outline rather than utilizing in a visual format like this. But like, if I navigate this way, you can see there aren't many that break the text down like that. Here's a 32 to 36. A formal attempt. A formal attempt. JPCS. Ooh, we might use these in conjunction. Let's look for the JPCS. I believe that's the John Phillips commentary. So let's look. Scrolling down. See, we would have clicked on all of these. Where's the John Phillips commentary? Man, it would be nice if I could direct navigate to it from here. But I'm not seeing it, which is semi-discouraging. It's not completely discouraging, but it's semi-discouraging. And it's just because these are alphabetical. What's the... These are alphabetical. It's a couple before the Fire Bible. Let's see if Fire Bible's in here. There's Fire Bible right here. Boom, we found it, John Phillips. I thought it would say John Phillips right here. It doesn't. It says Exploring the Gospel of John, an expository commentary. Let's try this. Oh, wait, no. This. Close that out. All right, here's the in-depth outline. Look, it opens straight to it. So it took us a little bit of clicking and thinking. Can't turn your brain off entirely in this process, guys. We are doing Bible study after all. But you can see right here, formal attempt. The antagonism of the rulers from 730 to 8:1. There's a looming danger, a forcible attempt, a formal attempt, his duration on earth, and his departure from earth. So we could grab this whole section. This is a nice little breakdown. Don't sleep on John Phillips, y'all. I don't think it's a cheap one, but this is a good breakdown. So, we've got the rulers have an antagonism. They keep seeking to kill him. They want to arrest him, all this stuff. There's a forcible attempt and then a formal attempt. And then he speaks of his duration on earth and his departure from earth, which is very interesting. I didn't see that theme before in 33 to 36. So I'm glad we grabbed this. Okay, let's continue utilizing this. This is a great tool to help us narrow in on which ones we want to reference. Okay, so keep going over. Do we want to reference this one? Jesus announces his departure. Okay, not the most helpful. What about this one? This is Guzik, I believe. Dave Guzik. The leaders try to seize Jesus because many believed in him. So it's after ZECNT. Let's see if we can't find Guzik real quick. So right after the Zondervan exegetical commentary in the New Testament. Might run into a similar problem where I'm looking for a particular name and it happens to not be the name. but we'll look momentarily. I mean, I would think it'd be at the end in Zondervan, but it's so not at the end. All right, too hard. What's up, Clad Spider? Good to see you. How are you? Welcome. Happy Monday. Let's keep going. What about this one? Conflict over the destination of Jesus. I wonder if we can't direct click these and see if they'll open immediately. Right click. Right click. Mouse wheel. Okay, didn't do it. Doing meh, but I'll live through it. Well, it can be good to persist even through trials and struggles. But if you want to talk about said meh, I am here. I am a captive audience. Okay, there's some decent ones here at the end. People sharply divided. Look at this one. The divided opinions of the Jerusalem people, the general multitude, and the Pharisees, the attempt on his life and its failure. Interesting. This comes from St. John, Volume 1. That's not going to be easy to find. Oh, what if we go to the Read one? Let's try to go to Read and then go to Stats Bible Books, New Testament. Now that I remember, in my video, I put how good the Stats Bible Books one was. So if you want to reference these embedded, you can do it this way. And I remember I originally tried to do it this way and not via the compare tool. And all of the spinning wheels of death scared me. This is a little handier. Look, I can just navigate to stats. And then you can break it down. I think I talked about in the video that stats had good outlines. Yeah, look at as you drill down. The problem is copying and pasting this outline. Not so easy. The answer of Christ, the amazement of the Jews. That's what he's calling it. Okay. Well, I think we have enough, right? The answer of Christ and the amazement of the Jews. That's essentially where we're at. There's just this kind of back and forth that is very interesting. Clad Spider said, it's just dumb family issues that I've been dealing with for 3 years. People say that they're sorry for treating me that way, but still do it, so it just makes me kind of upset. I see. Well, sometimes our greatest ideals are really difficult for us to live out, right? And so somebody may have, sometimes people aren't lying to you, but they have like the greatest of intentions to change. You know, they're like, I want to change, I want to do better. You believe them. The problem is they struggle to live up to their own ideals. So it can be really tough because also sometimes you can get in your own head and be like, am I fooling myself? Are they fooling me? Etc. But sometimes people want to do something different, but struggle to figure out how to do different, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that helps, but I find that's often what happens in persistent situations that don't seem to change is somebody basically says, like, I can do it, I'll do better, I'm going to improve. And they fully intend to, they fully mean to, but they seem to fail to be able to put legs to their statements, if that makes sense. All right, so we've kind of got the breakdown. He's in the middle of, he's going to leave, it looks like, the Feast of Booths. And he's kind of talking this back and forth about where he's going to go and what he's going to do. Okay, I think we did enough on the logical doctrinal context. Okay. Perk, hello. Pastor, may I ask something? It's something I've seen at times in your church's stream. Actually, it'd be more like a suggestion. Go for it. What is it? I have a guess as to what you're going to bring up, but it's just a guess. Go ahead and type first. All right, literary context. Surrounding passages, the literary form or genre of the passage, the intended use of the text, the narrative voice, the role of this portion in the broader book or scope of scriptures, figures of speech, parallel passages, echoes and quotations of other references, or rhetorical patterns expose the literary context of the passage. So, they've got some embedded features here. Figurative language. Parallel passages, literary typings, and the theme. And I'm supposed to utilize these tools to discover the literary context of the passage. I see how this could be helpful in a certain context, right? Like, if I was in the Psalms, this would immediately flag many things for me. It's different a little bit in the Gospels, but let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. The Pharisees heard the crowd muttering these things about him, and the chief priests and Pharisees sent officers to arrest him. Is this supposed to help me? I know what the word arrest means. Figurative language, to seize as to arrest. Glossary. To arrest someone is conceptualized as seizing someone. The Bible glossary, figurative language Bible glossary. I haven't used this much. Let's see what it says. The Bible uses metaphors and idioms from the ancient world that are unfamiliar to us today. This glossary defines these structures and figures as used in the figurative language dataset. Okay, that's already helpful. Now I understand what this thing is trying to do. So the idea being, it probably says to, it's translated arrest here in ESV. I bet in other translations it says to seize. And now it confuses people, right? Piazzo. What is a piazzo? Seize, take into custody. It's Bible word study, this thing. I know, we're going off script. 12 times, mostly in John. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Perk says, I've noticed you use a projector, but whenever you do presentations, you start using a whiteboard. As someone with bad eyesight, that would be a bit of a situation to deal with. So you're suggesting when I do teaching lessons that aren't on Sundays that I utilize a projector and the PowerPoint, just like when I preach? Is that the suggestion? Okay. Yeah, I bet. Watch. Let's walk through a couple translations and see how they translate piazzo here. I bet that's what's going on. To arrest him in NIV. To seize him in the LSB. To arrest him in the CSB. NET says to arrest. NASB 2020 says to arrest. Arrest in NLT. Arrest in NRSV. Oh man. The complete biblical library interlinear. Let's see what they do. They might take him. They might take him. Fascinating. CEV, arrest. FNV, the First Nations version. Yeah. Arrest. CGJC 121. Whoa, Thomas Aquinas's translation, evidently. Apprehend. Apprehend, very interesting. Perk says, so may I suggest, check out drawing tablets. There are many and of different prices. You can use along with something like Paint or something like that if you don't have a PowerPoint, or rather not use one. So you're saying you're suggesting don't use the whiteboard. You're saying you don't like the whiteboard and look into alternative solutions. Oh, text limit. That's weird, Perk. No, but that's good. Thank you. Alrighty. Clad Spider says, yeah, I always kind of live by the hardest video game quote dropped by Kratos. Don't be sorry, be better. I got you. Yeah, that's tough, Clad Spider. Cal Magic says, coming off the pulpit and using the whiteboard allows a pastor to connect with his congregation on a more human level. Entertainers often do the same thing. Yeah. I feel you, Cal Magic. And that's part of why I do it, is the teaching context just seems to lend itself more to a whiteboard. But I'm happy to adjust if it's not working. I'm open to all comments and ideas. Okay, so first, figuratively, they're trying to say, hey, just know this means to arrest. Okay, ESV translated that way, so that's good. Word as message, one result. Let's hit this up and see. What does he mean by saying? Word as message. Word is used in a part, whole, metonymic relationship to represent the entire content of a message. So I think the concept here is they're referring, so when they say, does he mean? What does he mean? That does he mean is referring to everything he said prior, right? Represent the entire content of a message. I'm going to lurk and listen. Hey, no problem, Clad. I appreciate you. Thank you. Perk says, not saying replace it. I just thought it might be useful. More visible and on a bigger, brighter screen, you can do the same thing. Yeah, I got you. I'll have to consider it, Perk. I will tell you, Perk, putting together PowerPoints, or if they were Paint or something, all of that is harder as well. It takes more advanced work than just getting up there with a marker and scribbling on a whiteboard, right? So I also selfishly may not take you up on that suggestion just because that can take a lot more time, and I'm usually strapped for time throughout the week. Okay, so if I look at all of metonymy, that's what it's called, metonymy. So they're saying this is a metaphor. The arrest, the Caesar arrest is a metaphor. And then they're saying this is metonymy, which is the word as message idea. So if you look this up, the use of one entity to refer to a related entity within the same conceptual domain. The ham sandwich at table 2 is waiting for his drink. Ham sandwich is used to refer to the person who ordered the ham sandwich. Biblical example, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. The name of Jesus is used to refer to his authority and power. I see what they're doing here. Okay, that's valuable, but I think it just refers back to what he said, right? So the figurative language, obviously in a different context, maybe the figurative language would be a big deal. Doesn't seem to be for our passage. Okay, let's move on. Parallel passages. It's just paralleling all the other stuff he does in John 7. In the Eusebian canons, he puts this together with wow. Eusebius puts this together with some wild stuff here. I wonder how he decided what goes with what. That's fascinating. So John 7:32, the Pharisees heard the crowds muttering about these things, and the chief priests and Pharisees sent officers to arrest him. He's comparing this to, Eusebius is comparing this to Luke 22, Matthew 26, and Mark 14, which to me is considerably later in his ministry. That's interesting. But there are some similarities, right? Yeah, that's Judas betraying him. So I guess we could cross-reference Judas's betrayal. Cross-reference Judas betrayal. I mean, that's a thing. Luke 22:47. Perk says, actually, I don't know how big your church is. It may not even be an issue. Never mind then. No, it could help. It could help, and it would certainly be better for the digital, right? Yeah, I figured it was just a thought I had last time I passed by the church stream, not a complaint or anything. No worries, I didn't take it that way. Took it as a suggestion, which is, I believe, how you said you intended it, so we're good. Yeah, I'll have to think of, like, the reward of doing that relative to how much effort it would take, right? So also Eusebius canons, he puts John only here in canon 10. What are Eusebius canons? I'm guessing the early church father Eusebius put them together. The Eusebian canons is one of the first gospel harmonies and the most widely used. It divides the gospels into sections to show where they agree with one another. This harmony was in wide use from the 5th century onward and still serves as an important purpose for understanding how the gospels tell an important story. So that's actually helpful. Knowing the Eusebius canons compare this to Judas' betrayal, and then everywhere else it's just isolated, right? That's helpful. John only, John only, John only. I wonder where, with these John only sections, where he puts this in Jesus' life. Doesn't look like he puts it anywhere in particular. Interesting work by Eusebius here. Yeah, fascinating. Okay, let's continue. Harmony of the Gospels. See, this is kind of cool. I never utilize resources like this. Parallel passages here. So here's a harmony. And this harmony is E.T. Robertson. So he's got a big section here. And again, he just puts it by itself. What does he put over here, though, on the side? The Sanhedrin included both Sadducees and Pharisees. Nicodemus was a member of the Sanhedrin and a Pharisee. Now both parties in the Sanhedrin were united against Jesus, and the purpose was to bring Jesus before the Sanhedrin for trial. Okay. So overwhelmingly, you know, this one's good for finding cross-references to the synoptics, right? Again, in this section, I don't think we're going to find that much. Here's the teaching in the temple. And which harmony is this? Kurt Alland from Nestle Alland Lore. He puts it all by itself. This whole section, he puts all by itself. But he does do it in the context of Jesus at the Feast of Tabernacles. So he's at least comparing it to Matthew 13, Mark 6, and Luke 4. Interesting. Yeah, thank you for listening. No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Happy to listen. I appreciate you taking enough interest in our little tiny church that you would offer a suggestion at all. Genuinely appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, let's try... What is this? Vetus Testamentum in Novo. Wilhelm Dittmar's German language parallel. Interesting, but he compares it to Old Testament. And sometimes you wonder what these people were up to. Look at all the comparisons he has. So these are all compared to each other. There's my John 7:34 and 36. But it's brought up in comparison with all this other stuff. Fascinating. And of course, guys, with the translate tool, we can get all this into English if we want. Oh, they think I want the Greek. I don't. I want the German. Oh, I guess it's all Greek and Hebrew. Doesn't matter that the author was German. He didn't write any words in German. Ha 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 ha. Okay. And then I don't think this is super helpful either. Okay, so let's go down here and let's put that this comes from Eusebius. And then let's also put down here some comparisons to Jesus' feast teachings and we'll go for Holland here. Oh, it was here. Matthew 13, Mark 6, and Luke 4. Again, if you're in a different text, I think this would be a very valuable piece. Okay? Let's keep going. Let's do our literary typing. Gospel, narrative, gospel, Johannine dialogue or discourse. I already know that. We've talked about that extensively, but we can put this in there. An account of Jesus' teachings found in John's gospel. Not super helpful. Sermon starter guide. So if I wanted to preach thematically off of God's knowledge or persecution, these are suggested themes. I actually don't think these are primary themes I'm going to focus on. I truly feel like focusing in on the themes of where is Jesus going? This spiritual element to him kind of disappearing, right? When I look at the fallen condition focus, yes, they are persecuting him, but there's some sort of unique relationship Jesus has with the Father. So the intention of this section, we went through all the parts, but it says narrative, intended use, role of this portion, figures of speech, parallel passage, echoes and quotations. The only thing I think this section lacks then would be, and it might come up later, would be using a book like the New Testament use of the Old Testament, right? So that commentary. But let's assume that it's going to come up. All right, we did section 4. I did historical context off stream, and then just now we did logical doctrinal, and we did literary. Let's start by doing a little research. What questions would a thoughtful reader ask of the text if they wanted to discover what it means? Ah, here's one where they just let us run with it. Okay, let's read the text and start asking questions. The Pharisees heard the crowd muttering these things about him, and the chief priests and Pharisees sent officers to arrest him. Jesus then said, I will be with you a little longer, and then I am going to him who sent me. You will seek me, and you will not find me. Where I am, you cannot come. The Jews said to one another, where does this man intend to go that we will not find him? Does he intend to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? What does he mean by saying, you will seek me and you will not find me, and where I am, you cannot come? So, I'm actually with the Jews here. Those are the questions I want to ask. What does he mean, right? What does Jesus mean? Essentially, ask again verses 35 to 36. Those are my key questions, right? But I'm digressing. What about verses 32 to 34? Okay, who are the Pharisees, chief priests, and officers? Who are they? And I've talked about the Pharisees recently in a sermon, but I haven't talked about the chief priests or the officers before. So it might be valuable to jump into that. Jesus then said, I will be with you a little longer, then I'm going to him who sent me. You will seek me and you will not find me. Where I am, you cannot come. What does he mean a little while longer, right? Does he mean like at the feast? And to reiterate that, he says, then I am going to him who sent me. So is this after is the little while longer till his ascension? Right? Because then I am going to him who sent me. Or does he go to the Father at his death? So death, question mark, ascension, question mark. You will seek me and you will not find me. Why will they seek him? If they killed him, they wouldn't seek him. Would they? They know where he's at. He's in the tomb. You will seek me and you will not find me. Where I am, you cannot come. So it's either got to be before his death or after his ascension, no? Curious things. Where I am, you cannot come. Is this in the present tense? Ego eimi. That's weird. I know there's the, I know John is not immune to using the present tense sometimes when he shouldn't. But Bible scholars have pointed out he does this for like rhetorical effect, right? So I think these are good questions. What does Jesus mean? Basically, we can re-ask all of the questions that the Pharisees are asking. We can also give some further explanation as to who the chief priests, the officers are. And then we can try to suss out these comments. Little while, death, ascension. You'll seek me, why? Before death or after ascension, where I am, present tense, why? So I think these are thoughtful questions. I think he wants you to ask these questions yourself so that when you dig into the text, you've got a little more understanding. Estudiante de Teológica. I added a C, but it's not there. Teología. Saludos, pastor. Acabo de entrar a otro bimestre del seminario. Veré la repetición. Now, it's been a long time since I took Spanish, so I am going to... Estudiante, I appreciate you. Let me Google Translate this. Okay. I'm not going to pretend to know all the things that were said. English. Google Translate for me, please. How do I do that? I did take Spanish in high school, as you can tell with my excellent pronunciation. But I still can't. You used words I don't understand. Let's see. Translate selection to English. Greetings, Pastor. I just entered another 2-month period in the seminar, and I think it means seminary, because you put seminario. I will watch the replay. Greetings to you, Estudiante, and I hope you enjoy the stream. I hope it's helpful, and I'm glad you're in seminary, and I hope that goes well for you. Awesome. Look at technology, y'all. Amen. Praise God that you are learning the word. Much love. Much love. Thank you. Guys, I'm going to get a little more water. I'll be right back. 30 seconds. I'm back. I'm back. Buds, hello. Good to see you. All right. Before we jump into textual variants, let's chat with Buds. Estudiante says, I promise, write in English. You don't have to. Go ahead and write in Spanish. I know how to use the Google Translate now so that I can understand. Appreciate you being here. Bud says, I have a disorder where it makes it difficult for me to be around large groups of people. My daughter has recently started going to church with one of her best friends. They happen to be Mormon. I personally have prayed about this, and I'm conflicted. She wants to be baptized there. I'm unsure how I feel about this. Any advice? To me, it sounds like there's 2 questions here. The first question is, how do you go to a large venue like this, I suppose, and exist in that space when you have a disorder that causes struggles being around large groups of people? So I feel like that's the first question in there. And then the second question, I feel like, is how do you as a father talk to your daughter who wants to be baptized Mormon? Am I correct? Those are kind of the 2 questions? Because I have 2 different pieces of advice or response based upon that. Guys, look how long this straw is. What is going on here? I bought like a variety pack of straws. Look how long that thing is. Like, who needs a straw that long? Like, what does that even go in? This is not a small cup. It's ridiculous. Mormons, right. So I guess I'll go ahead and answer my 2 assumed questions. The first question surrounds what you're describing as a disorder. I can't go there, but they are offering to do her baptism in my swimming pool. I have a hard time with the beliefs of Mormons, so yes. Okay, I got you. So, regarding your disorder, I am not a doctor or the son of a doctor. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a licensed counselor. Take everything I say with a massive grain of salt. What's up, Samantha? Probably made for a Yeti or a Stanley Cup. I love it. That's the only thing that straw would work in. I went on Amazon and bought like the cheapest variety pack of metal straws, and that was in there. Anyway, appreciate you, Sam. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Now, regarding your anxiety, and I'm sorry, I assumed you didn't call it anxiety, but it sounds almost like a social anxiety disorder of sorts. What I would do with that is, and again, I'm not a licensed counselor. This is not medical advice. Seek your doctor, blah, 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 blah. I cannot be held liable for anything you do or do not do based upon what I tell you today. All the caveats. They have something, I think it's called exposure therapy. And what exposure therapy does is, let's use Logos for this. Guys, I love Logos Bible software. What is exposure therapy? And what this does is it slowly introduces you to contexts or situations that you're uncomfortable with so that over time they can be less triggering to you. So therapists use exposure therapy as a method of desensitizing someone to a trigger that has caused her fear of panic in the past. Mental health professionals call this habituation, a process that operates under the premise that if you expose people to the thing they fear, while they are accompanied by a safe and comforting companion, the fear will lose its hold on them. In exposure therapy, therapists ask patients to confront in a safe way the very situations, objects, people, and memories they have attached to the trauma and are probably very consciously avoiding. This technique works well for those who are, for example, too afraid to get back behind the wheel of a car after a traumatic accident, or those who are afraid of flying after some sort of scare in the air. So I think looking into some sort of exposure therapy might be helpful. Oh, Bud says, I do exposure therapy once a week with my doctor. I have a condition called agoraphobia. Have you noticed improvement since you started utilizing the exposure therapy? Have less fear about memories? People learn to fear thoughts, feelings, and situations that remind them of past traumatic event. Flooding or prolonged exposure involves desensitizing the person to the feared stimulus or traumatic memory until the anxiety is diminished. Hierarchy of fear is constructed, and the client and therapist work systematically through the hierarchy of fear until the fear is extinguished. Yes, but after 2020, I regressed a lot. I can completely understand, buds. Okay, well, you don't need my advice on this front. You have a therapist, you have a doctor, and you are working with them, and they have helped you with this exposure therapy idea. So I'm not helping you at all on that front. Let's go to Mormonism. All right, as regards Mormonism, I have a video on my channel. It's an older video, but it's entitled The Easiest Proof That Mormonism Is Not Christianity. The doctrine of Latter-day Saints, or, okay for you. Hey, what is up? I don't buy viewers. Banned. Thank you, though. So the doctrine of Mormonism is pretty counter to a lot of Christian doctrine. And I talk about some of the explicit doctrines in that video. So if you are concerned about specifics regarding Mormonism, I deal with them pretty explicitly in that video, The Easiest Proof That Mormonism Is Not Christianity. Now, man, it's hard when it's your daughter, right? I recognize the emotional challenge of that. Is this video on YouTube? Yeah, in fact, I might have a link for it. There you go. There's the link. Is Mormonism Christianity? Look, there's my video. So, man, it's hard when it's your daughter, right? And you're trying to wrestle through, the reality of being emotionally supportive father and trying to support her in something she's interested in and loves. I guess I would ask her. If I were you, I would ask her if she'd be open to have some conversation regarding Mormonism and the doctrine they teach. You might even show her my video if you happen to like it. It's tough. A lot of Mormons hesitate to explicitly state some of this doctrine, but a lot don't hesitate and are very explicit about it. It used to be that these doctrines were fronted quite a bit, and they would explicitly talk about it all the time. But I find in our day and age, like if you go to, I think it's Mormon.org, I find in our day and age, Mormonism is working hard to eliminate some of its former stigmas, right? Yeah, I mean, just go to Mormon.org. What does it say? Welcome. No matter your story, we welcome you to join us as we all try to be a little bit better, a little bit kinder, a little more helpful, because that's what Jesus taught, right? And there's a short video on Come Unto Christ. You can see very clearly they're doing their best to be like modern and accessible. And so, and I really think modern LDS leaders are trying really hard to make LDS look more Christian, if that makes sense. Like, let's go to their beliefs section. Our beliefs. Our beliefs center on Jesus Christ. We celebrate his matchless life, his infinite grace. We invite all to come unto him. Use simple summary. Because of him, God loves you. Life has purpose and meaning. I mean, these are very basic things. And for 99% of attendees, this is all they care about. They don't care about some of the deeper doctrines in terms of the eternal law of progression or different things like that. So, I don't know. Watch my video. See what you think. Pray about it. Ask if your daughter is open to talking about doctrine. I suspect she probably doesn't care that much about theology and is just liking hanging out with her friends and wants to be part of their community, right? I suspect that's what's happening. May not be, but most people. See, are we Christians? First line. Yes, definitely. Look, this is straight from their website. That's straight from their website. Are we Christians? Yes, definitely. As members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God and Savior of the world. He loves us all more than we can imagine. Does that mean we have the exact same beliefs as other Christian churches? No, but we definitely consider ourselves devoted followers of Jesus Christ. It's funny, I'm listening to an audiobook right now by it's Childers and Chester? Tim Chester? Is it Chester? I don't even know if it's Chester or not. Barnett. Childers and Barnett. I started listening to this today, and you know what's funny? They talk about Mormonism in it, and she goes out of her way to talk about how Mormons aren't really Christians, and they mean different things by the terms, and blah, 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 in chapter 4 or whatever it is. Episode 4. So, I don't know, very interesting. You can see they're trying to say that they're Christians. I don't think, watch my video. I say in that video, I'm pretty sure that I think Joseph Smith would roll in his grave if he knew how much Mormons these days are trying to promote themselves as Christians, because I feel personally like Joseph Smith went out of his way to explicitly depart from Christianity. I think he was trying to leave Christianity behind and do his own new thing. And then it's just funny to see all of his followers in our day and age trying to promote themselves as Christian, right? So yeah, hopefully that helps. It delineates some of the doctrines that are, questionable. Like here you see, this is from their website too. Do we believe in the Trinity? The Holy Trinity is a term many Christian religions use to describe the Father, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. Latter-day Saints believe very strongly in all three, but we don't believe they're all the same person. Neither do Christians. So Christians say that they're actually not the same person. They say they're the same God. So they've actually described Oh, what heresy is that? In their little statement here, they're refuting modalism, which we're not modalists. We do believe they are one in purpose. Their purpose is to help us achieve true joy in this life and the life to come, which we also believe in. So you can see they're really trying to minimize differences. And anyway, yeah. Bud says, thank you for taking the time on this for me. It means so much to me. Since I can't go to the church, would you suggest I let her continue to go? That's really tough too. Again, I would ask you, and we'll end here, guys. I would ask you, how much does she care about doctrine? How important is that to you, right? Like, it's very important for many people, right? When it comes to differences in religion and theology and all that type of stuff. And if she doesn't, should she, right? You should ask her that. You should talk about that, right? Like, is she going just because she likes the people and it's a fun social club? I will tell you this. My current wife, used to spend tons of time with Mormons all through high school. In fact, I thought she was Mormon because she did. And she was strongly Christian and not Mormon, and let that be known. And they tried all through high school to convert her to Mormonism, but she never converted. She stayed a Christian the whole time. So not becoming a Mormon doesn't preclude her from spending time with those people, but you probably want to help her get some doctrinal and theological clarity before she moves forward in any capacity, right? So, yeah, my video should help you. I try to summarize some of the most key points. What's up, Bright Eyes? Good to see you. All right, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end here. Let's look. I think I've been going over an hour. Yeah, I've been going over an hour, and like I told you guys at the beginning, I have to run over to the church to a church event. Thank you so much, Pastor. Yes, my pleasure. Enjoy that video. I hope it's helpful. Feel free to drop a comment in there. I should receive it as a message if you need any follow-up conversation. Good question, buds. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much for helping with the stream. We got through all of 4.2 and 4.3. I guess next time we can dig into 5.1 through 5.5, which is a lot of their exegesis that they do. And then they have application, and then you prepare your homiletical outline. So it's funny that outlining comes so late in the process. But we ended right before the exegesis. We were going to do some textual variants. They have different editions, comparing Bible versions, etc. And then they do this pinpoint exegesis, which would be pretty sweet. You guys have not seen me do much pinpoint exegesis. Also, I need to do a video on the exegetical guide at some point. I know it's confusing for people, so I want people to be able to benefit from that. But anyway, I got to go. I got a church function to get to. I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight, and we made some good progress. And yeah, we'll probably lean into Bryan Chapell maybe again next week, or start a new workflow, something like that. But I just realized on Mondays, I'm not so tied to a specific workflow every week. So, and I like variety, so I just mix it up. And then I think other people like that too, because they get a different sense of what to do and all that type of stuff. So anyway, that'll be the plan going forward, at least for the foreseeable future. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you for spending some time with me here on the stream. I hope you have a fantastic week. And yeah, as usual, look out for some videos here on the channel, and we'll catch you again real soon. Take care. God bless. Bye.